It is a Thursday night, but I don't think it'll probably shock anybody that there's more rain on the way for the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic states and severe weather in the Southeast. There's also some severe weather tonight across parts of Texas. And we'll talk about all of that, the weekend and the long range tonight on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast, because that's what we do. And we do it Sunday through Thursday at 7:35 p.m. Eastern Time. And if you'd like, you can support the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast by doing your Amazon shopping via our referral link at the top of the chat board or on the descriptor to this podcast. You shop, and Amazon sends us back a little bit of coin for sending you there. It doesn't cost you an extra dime out of your pocket, and we appreciate those of you who do this. And it keeps the live cast, the live stream of the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast, commercial free. Should I rant about Band-Aids now or later?
No, do it now.
Oh, yeah. Joe, this is so. First of all, good evening to everybody on the chat board and those of you watching in the background. Welcome to tonight's Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. I hope you can all relate to this. This is an injustice. It is an abomination. I want Band-Aids that stick again. Okay? I want Band-Aids that when you try to take them off, half your skin comes off with it. Okay? Particularly if you put it over a hairy area of your body. This is the fourth bandage since yesterday that I have had to put on my nose. I had a biopsy done on keratosis that I have on my nose to make sure it's not cancer. So, of course, there's nothing really more pleasant than laying on laying in a chair, having, the flesh not only scraped off your nose, but then they cauterize it so you get to smell burning flesh, which is not, particularly pleasant. But, I have to wear a bandage until they call me about this, and they said it might be up to a week. That's just fine. I got home yesterday. The bandage that they put on, it hadn't even been an hour, and it fell off. So I replaced it. Then, of course, I had to replace it again yesterday evening. I had to replace it again this morning when I woke up, because while I was asleep, it came off. I have no idea where the bandage is. I can't even find it. And then I've already placed it one or two other times. Maybe one other time today. The one I put on this morning actually lasted for about 5 or 6 hours. So now I am on this one. So it's like the fifth one I've put on. I will tell you this, Joe. If you buy bandages, if you buy Band-Aids, if you go to Walmart or CVS, if you get the store brand Band-Aids, those stick. And I have some, but unfortunately they're like that big. So I can't exactly put that on my nose because it would cover half of my face. Anyway, end of rant. I just had to get that off my chest. It was just driving me crazy.
I have a box upstairs of Bob Ross bandages if you want those. The only problem
you would have Bob Ross bandages. Did it put you to sleep?
I mean, but I mean, like, somebody had sketched out like a cartoon of Bob Ross. So you basically on one side of your nose, you'd have Bob Ross.
That's just so funny. Oh, well. All right. So I've gotten reports. I was later able to confirm these reports, Joe, that some places did actually see some sun up your way later on, later in the afternoon.
Later in this afternoon, I mean, like we had sunshine this afternoon.
Oh, you did? Okay, good.
I mean, it's kind of surprising to me that the sun broke through as much as it did. I mean, I said to myself, we're not going to see much sunshine. You get a couple of breaks here and there. All of a sudden, around 3:30 or 4 o'clock, the sky just opened up and blue sky and bright sun. I just was outside a little while ago and still, no worse than partly sunny. So but I think tomorrow, and Renata had asked me about the rain chances. Joe, I honestly don't think I could take out. Much of the day tomorrow probably will be dry, but there will be, I think, a threat, an ongoing threat of a spotty shower passing by at most
Right.
at almost any time. The best chance I think would be early in the day, early in the morning, and then again late in the day. In the late day showers tomorrow, setting us up for some showery rains here, especially late tomorrow night and Saturday. If you got anything planned on Saturday out of doors, I don't think it's going to happen. It looks like we're going to have showers, and yes, maybe even a thunderstorm. Now we're in the zone later tomorrow night for general thunderstorm activity, and the same holds true on Saturday. But on Saturday, the area of marginal, and we'll take a look at this in a few minutes. The area of marginal risk for severe weather is just off to the south of New York City. I'm saying to myself, I wouldn't be surprised if tomorrow in the SPC convective outlook
And
we're
it's
going to be
further north.
we'll be in it.
Yeah,
So
they pushed it up further north from what they had this morning, and this morning was a little further north than what they had yesterday. So they're kind of going in that direction. And it sort of makes sense when you see how, where all this is happening, and the upper trough is going to, you know, the negatively tilted trough is going to go by with that low, and then you got the second arm that's going to come around. It's a pretty sharp, sharp trough that's going to be pushing on through. I just wonder, if rain gets out of the way before daybreak Saturday, there might be a little bit of daytime heating that could also help the cause
right.
with some instability. So I certainly could see that there might be some isolated severe thunderstorms, maybe going up as far north as the Middle Hudson Valley before this is all said and done. And then after that, it does look like it should dry out for the most part on Sunday. Should be okay for you.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think tomorrow, for example, we'll probably have some breaks in the clouds and some sunshine, and on Saturday too. And I think you're right. Saturday may start off rather showery and dreary. Then the sun will come out, and you say, "Oh, look, the sun is out. It's look nice." But that will only work against us, as you just alluded to, because that'll make the atmosphere more unstable. With that upper system overhead, we may see the clouds grow back later in the day, Saturday, and give rise to showers. And if we do get any severe weather, it probably would be later in the day on Saturday after the daytime or diurnal heating warms things up and stirs the atmosphere up a bit. And then on Sunday, and I see that Tom Contino has made allusion to this already, that on my Facebook page, I'm still calling for the chance of maybe an early shower, and then that'll be followed by clearing and drier and sunny weather. Although I'm not sure now whether or not it's going to be sunny or partly sunny. We may have, convective cloudiness on Sunday, and who knows? Maybe as we saw a few days ago, there may be a couple of pop-up showers, mostly north and west of New York City, before the day is over with on Sunday. But Sunday certainly of the two weekend days looks to be the better of the two, and then it looks fabulous for early next week. Not only do we get the sun, we also are going to be getting warmer temperatures. And in fact, by this time next week, I think Joe will be probably at or above 80
Yeah.
in most locations. So
Well,
looks
I
pretty.
had I had the today the definition of gloom and doom was exactly that here. I mean, when it gets gloom and doom here, it's dark. It gets dark in the middle of the day. I'm not, the low clouds, the mountains, and all the rest of it, uh, kind of deflect some of what light that's out there, and it just it looked just so great. And we had some rain, not a lot, but we did have some rain. But again, I'm sitting here in doom and gloom, and we have severe weather risk here tomorrow because of that low that's going to develop to the north. That's bringing your big rain, and the front from the low is going to be sweeping through here with severe weather. But hopefully, it'll bring some sunshine over the weekend. I'm almost finished the touch-ups that I need to do in my yard. So I want it to be. I want some nice weather upcoming uh, for the weekend. So why don't we get started? and take a look at what's going on tonight, which there is weather going on, just not much of it yet is adverse enough where we've got uh, you know rampant severe thunderstorm watches up, and it's not like that today. There's one area in West Texas and southeast New Mexico. There's a few flash flood warnings in parts of North Carolina, some flood advisories in South Carolina. In the West, we've got heat of various areas in California, Oregon, and Idaho, and Montana, where we've got some heat advisories up. Otherwise, if up and down the eastern seaboard, it's fairly quiet. But look at the satellite. Uh, there's a lot of moisture sweeping through the southeast and starting to lift up northeastward. And then, of course, you've got more energy that's coming out of Texas that's running east. And that's going to be the main catalyst for the system for Friday night and Saturday. I thought that there was a chance, with the upper trough the way it is, of the negatively tilted arm that's lifting up and the surface low kind of tracking right along or just inland of the coast, that somebody could wind up with a pretty sizable rainfall at night, the Friday night for you. Well, maybe some areas get an inch and a half to maybe some places getting as much as 2 inches.
Well, we're getting into that time of the year now when in the summertime you look at the generalization of QPF, quantitative precipitation forecasts, and they'll go for, let's say, an inch or 1.5 inches. But if it starts getting warm and more humid, you throw in a little bit of convection, and as we have seen in past years, that 1 or 1.5 inches could easily double and sometimes even triple. You get
Yeah,
sometimes localized areas that get 3, 4 inches of rain. The overall anticipation might have been for an inch or an inch and a half, but there will be some places that get a lot more. Again, because we're going into that warmer and more humid time of the year when these localized cells of precipitation can grow into something a lot more than just what the computer models are suggesting or the standard uh, precipitation rates. So, again, that time of the year, Joe.
oh yeah. No, I always thought that that was a pretty good forecast rule. Whenever you see, whatever it's being generated, if when you're dealing with situations that involve convection, it's always a good disclaimer to put out there to say that there could be some local amounts that could be 50% or even 100%. And like you said, in some cases, it could be 200% of what's being forecast. It's just that, you know, that's actually the easy part. The hard part is trying to pick out the spot where it's going to happen. That's always the challenge.
That is, it's very tough, very difficult to try to pick out. Well, actually, it's more or less impossible. I think it's like you look at a situation. Let's say it's the morning, and you know it in the afternoon. There's going to be convection. The problem is where's the convection going to be? Where's the axis of the heaviest precipitation area? It could be very localized. It's very difficult. I mean, and that's why sometimes in flash flooding situations, you'll see the Weather Service will say anywhere from 2 to 5 inches. 2 to 5 inches is a wide spread. You say, my goodness, what are they talking? But that's the best you can do in these kind of situations and trying to anticipate what may fall in terms of um, you know what may lead to localized flooding. I remember
Oh,
with Ida. I remember with Ida several years ago. New York City National Weather Service was going, 3 to 6 inches possible, and you do
right.
a double take on that, and then
And
Mayor
it
de
wasn't
Blasio,
enough.
and then Mayor de Blasio coming back and saying that it was a terrible forecast because not every place, but you know, Staten Island and a couple of places in Brooklyn picked up like 9 inches, and he said, "Oh, the forecast was terrible. The forecast was beautiful. It's wonderful. 3 to 6 inches. You don't call for that normally. How rare is to go for 3 to 6 inches of rain? Yeah, but again, because of convection and because of localized, phenomena, you get a few spots that get more than 6 inches of rain. But again, to try to pick that out, to try to point to a specific area and said, all right, this is going to get 8 inches or 9. It's impossible. You
Yeah.
can't do that. And
Yeah.
all I can say is we in the meteorological community are doing our best. And now we're trying to do our best even more with some of our data being stripped away from us because of local
Okay.
budgetary concerns. So see how I
You kind of found a way to get political. I get it.
yes.
The radar tonight. Actually, it's pretty quiet in the Northeast, except for a little bit of shower activity in Maine. We do have some heavy rains going through central and eastern North Carolina. There are several of those green boxes, which are flash flood warnings that are up in North Carolina. Also seeing some patchy heavy rain in South Carolina. Off the north coast of Florida, we've got some thunderstorms moving out. We also have some rain, lighter rains in southern Illinois and through Missouri and southern Indiana and Kentucky. In Texas, this is where we have the severe thunderstorm watch up, and you see the red box is a tornado warning. The yellow boxes are severe thunderstorm warnings, and the green box on the Mexico side, the New Mexico side, is a flash flood warning. Patchy showers going on in parts of Colorado, Utah, western Wyoming. A few thunderstorms in the mix in western Montana. Not much going on up and down the west coast. Storm Prediction Center tonight has enhanced risk in central and northwest and west Texas, a larger area of slight risk, and of course the marginal risk sort of fingers its way eastward into Arkansas and Tennessee. Also, there was a slight risk all day. Most of this, not all of it, but most of it's played through to some extent. We're still seeing some heavier rain in North Carolina. But with respect to severe weather, it's a marginal risk to southern Virginia, a slight risk for southeast North Carolina, down through eastern South Carolina and southeast Georgia. Now, tomorrow, SPC has a slight risk across much of Georgia, just about all of South Carolina and North Carolina, and a good chunk of Virginia, except for the west and northwest, where it's in a marginal risk. And the northern edge of that marginal risk, which is through Saturday morning, it touches southern New Jersey and southern Pennsylvania. The general thunderstorm risk Friday night goes all the way up to the Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island state lines. And then for day three, by the way, that's a 2% tornado risk that we see there uh, for the Carolinas for tomorrow. Tonight, we've got 2%, and three areas of 2% and a 5% area in that area uh, noted in West Texas. And tomorrow's day three, marginal risk has now been pushed up to about 195 in New Jersey, southeast and south parts of south central Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland, much of Virginia, and the eastern half of North Carolina. And as you said, and I agree with you. I think they're going to push this up a little bit further north. The dynamics are there. I think the question is going to be: is there going to be an opportunity for a little daytime heating to go on Saturday? I'm going to take a yes vote on that. I'm not entirely sold, so let's call it a weak yes vote on the idea that there could be some daytime heating, which will make you think, okay, push the marginal risk up maybe to the middle Hudson Valley.
Yes, I agree, and I think there's some short-term models that are suggesting that we could get some good amounts of sunshine during the late morning and early afternoon. Again, just a few hours of sunshine to warm things up uh, will help to lead to the potential for not only just thunderstorms, but maybe severe thunderstorm activity. And as you point out, Joe, the area of marginal risk goes all the way up to about central Jersey, I 78. Would not be at all surprising if tomorrow the thought was among the forecasters at SPC that could be pushed a little further north into the tri state metropolitan area for Saturday. And who knows, maybe inside that area of marginal, there might be a small area of slight risk that may develop. So, again, there is the rub for Saturday, the potential for showers and maybe a few possible heavy or severe showers that will develop. We'll see how that all pans out.
Little stripes of an inch to an of inch and a half pluses from Maine to northern Virginia. This is on the 7-day rainfall forecast, and I think what much of what you see in the Northeast is really for tomorrow and into Saturday, and into Saturday evening. So again, convection gets involved. Wouldn't be surprised to see some 2 inch plus amounts in some places. And there's a stripe that goes back through the lower Ohio Valley of 1.5 to 2 inches, and then further south and west into parts of Arkansas, Oklahoma, and Texas. The Southeast, well, Carolinas, some of this is tonight, another 3/4 of an inch to an inch, inch and a quarter. We've got a little bit of a break here, which I hope happens because uh, we've had a lot of rain here this month where I am. We've had close to 8 inches. I don't know what we got today, but I know some places have gone over the 8 inch mark for the month, and that's pretty substantial because rain May is not normally known as a super wet month here, but uh, there you go. To this year has been an exception. Uh, Rainfall also over the next 7 days will extend up into the western lakes and the northern plains and in the Rockies, with decent amounts of precip. While on the west coast, it's about as quiet as you can be. No rain is in the forecast for the next 7 days. So here we go with the European model today. Nothing much happening tonight. The rain that's to the south stays to the south, but the rain that you saw on the radar in Illinois and Indiana starts to bubble up during the day on Friday, and then it really expands when we get to Friday evening. Low pressure starts to form in Virginia near Chesapeake Bay, and then rides up just inland of the coast. And of course, again, we got this negatively tilted trough that's getting involved. So that's going to enhance the rainfall. You can see the Europeans got this big blotch of yellow in the Hudson Valley, western Connecticut, down into northern New Jersey, which kind of makes sense to me, and even back up into the Catskills. The low pulls out. Now, usually when this sort of stuff happens, you wind up seeing some improvement, but because there's a northern feature here with a second trough that's coming through in the afternoon, you throw a little daytime heating in the mix, and you're going to get some thunderstorms that are going to develop. The European and other models are picking up on this idea going into Saturday, mid to late afternoon through the evening hours. Actually, a little low develops out of that up in the Gulf of Maine on the southern part of that whole complex system. And then we get into northwest winds. Meanwhile, across the south tomorrow, the southern end of that produces probably what will be a line of thunderstorms that'll come through me tomorrow, sometime around midday. And then after that, things look like they get better. And we should see some decent improvement here over the weekend, which is good. Maybe a couple of days where it doesn't rain at all. And once that pulls out, we get into a bit of a ridge position here in the east. That should allow things to warm up nicely, starting on Tuesday, I think, and then going into Wednesday and Thursday. Although the European is picking up on another cold front coming next Thursday, Joe, with some showers and storms, and then it dries out behind it. Look, if we're in a pattern, if we get into a pattern where things can just move along and you don't have troughs bottoming out in the eastern part of the United States, then most of the time it's going to be dry and temperatures are going to be above average, but it's not going to be crazy above average. And you're not going to be stuck in days and days of gloom and doom and showery rains. So the pattern next week certainly is going to be different than what we've seen in the last couple of weeks.
If it's a progressive pattern, and it certainly shows that, you're going to have changeable weather. That's as simple as that. It's not one of those situations where sometimes we have a huge ridge of high pressure, centered across the eastern third of the country, and weather systems glide north and west of us, or shear off north and west of us, and we remain in kind of a semi or stagnant weather pattern. This is a very progressive pattern, and so what you see is what you're going to get, and it's not going to stay for very long because things are going to change, and that's why we're in the pattern like this right now. And so, as the old saying goes, if you don't like the weather, just wait a little while; it'll change.
I pulled up the GFS just for laughs, and this is the view that shows the actual radar. And it's pretty much in line with the European for tomorrow night. Somebody's going to get clobbered with heavy rain in the Northeast. Uh, Looks like even in New England it really kind of revs up on the GFS, and you get that second arm that comes through with showers and thunderstorms Saturday afternoon. Although the GFS tends to be a little bit faster with it, and then Sunday a nice day, a breezy day, um, upper 60s and low 70s for highs, and then next week I'll switch over to the other map so we can see the isobars better. Um, Next week, GFS has got, for whatever reason, the GFS has got some showers Monday night into Tuesday morning
I noticed that.
from
Yes.
some kind of upper trough that the European does not have. Uh, Given how the GFS has behaved, I'm going to tend to ignore it for the time being. And it does have a front for Thursday like the European, except it's much weaker, less in the way of precip with it. And then it's got, something going to the lakes. It also has a tropical storm that comes out of the Caribbean, runs right up the west coast of Florida, right up the west coast of Florida, into Georgia, bringing rains up eventually into the mid-Atlantic and Northeast around June 10th or 11th. So, of course, we all know that it might as well be in the Bible that this is going to happen. Um, the European, just to be fair, the Europeans been kind of hinting that maybe something was going to, try to come out of the Caribbean. It's backed off quite a bit on that, though, in the last couple of runs. So, my usual rule with all of that has always been, when the European starts to show it, then you pay attention. If if the GFS is or the Canadian, if they're spinning up things, it's probably just wise to wait to see if the European does the same. And it's 2 weeks away, so what do we care?
2 weeks is a long time. Now we do have our first named tropical system, but it's not in the Atlantic Basin. It's in the Pacific.
Oh, we do. Let me see. Let's see. Tropical storm, uh, Eastern Pacific. Oh, tropical storm Alvin. Yeah, Alvin.
I'd love
50,
to. I don't have the list in front of me. It would be funny if we had an Alvin, a Theodore, and a Simon on the same
right, the
list.
same, right. Um, Alvin is at 15.1 and 107.2, moving northwest at 12. Top winds are 60 miles an hour, and it is forecast. Let's see. Ooh, okay. Now, if this were September, I would be nervous for Baja Peninsula, but I will. I'll put it up on the screen here. So this is the Hurricane Center's forecast. But because we're at the end of May, we're seeing it staying as a tropical storm and becoming a remnant system, even though it is forecast to turn northward. The remnant depression south of the southern tip of the Baja Peninsula by 11 p.m. Saturday. So it'll be gone
And
in
that's the
40.
full. And that's the full forecast. It's not. Sometimes you'll see a 3 day outlook looking somewhat similar to that, but that's not even really a 3 day outlook. Well, it is.
No, because it's going to
It's
be
probably
dead it's going to be
done.
gone in a little over 48 hours.
Right.
So there you have it.
I wouldn't be
Uh,
battening down the hatches if I was in Cabo San Lucas right now.
oh,
This
I'd
isn't
be,
exactly,
because they'll probably get some clouds and maybe a couple of downpours, but that'll be it. Okay, let's do Briller Jeopardy and
Alvin!
Alvin.
Okay!
Yeah. Oh, okay. On the same theme as yesterday, folks, it's the annual yearly average high for these European cities. Okay, and we'll start with Helsinki.
Helsinki,
Helsinki
Finland.
in
Finland, right? Yeah.
Finland. Yes.
Well,
Helsinki, Finland. 55 is too high, Steve Lapointe. 65, William Uber, is way too high. Actually, we have a winner already. Craig Carlberg and Vincent Croce nail it, and Harold Olson, 48.
That's pretty darn
48.
chilly.
Yes, I think.
Again, you got to understand what you got to know where Helsinki is. Helsinki's way up there, way north,
Yeah,
even
I
further,
think.
even further north than Copenhagen. I
I
think
think that deserves a bell ring.
it does. It does. There you go. Ta-da!
Okay. Next is Lisbon, Spain. I'm sorry. Lisbon is in Portugal.
Lisbon, Portugal.
Yes.
Correct.
Lisbon, Portugal.
How about 60, 69?
That's a very, very good. It's an excellent guess. It's very close. 83, Rich Rothmansky. Come on. I've never seen you miss something by that much. Lisbon, the average annual high temperature in Lisbon. Um, Frank Scalera is almost there at 71.
What
And
about Izzy D's 73? That's a little too high,
that's too high.
so it must be. It must be.
Um,
I'm
well,
still looking
Frank
for
was
something to come up
almost
with.
there at 71. Maggie P is,
Maggie P?
no, it's in the other direction.
Okay. So Maggie P, David Fuller, and William Huber with 72. Latex Dreams, I think, are a little bit on the cold side.
Right. No, Tyler Fenger got it. Izzy D now gets it at 70. 70.
70. There you go.
Yes.
So
London.
I missed it by one.
You did. That was very good. London.
London. How about this is the annual temperature, right?
Right. The average annual high temperature.
How about 59?
Once again, Joe, you are so very close.
Yes.
Rich Rothmansky, you are uncharacteristically missing them by a lot tonight. I mean, you usually are within one or two at worst. But no, David Fuller gets it at 60. 60.
Now wait a minute. Now is Rich? Maybe Rich is not understanding. It's the annual or
Right.
the average for the whole year. Maybe he's
Right.
thinking it's the high temperature for June.
Yeah. No, the whole year. The whole year.
Wow.
So 60 for London. And David Fuller got it. Okay, now we're in Spain, Joe. Madrid.
What did we say for Lisbon?
Lisbon, we said 70.
Lisbon 70. I'll say 69 for Madrid.
Well, you were very right in going a little bit lower, but you needed to go a little more lower. David Fuller and Craig Carlberg get it at 67. 67.
67.
Yes. And finally tonight,
Carol DeChero also had it, 67.
Carol DeCara, yes. And finally tonight we have Waxom, which is Moscow spelled backwards.
Oh. Moscow.
We have beautiful weather here in Russia. It's sunny and 77 all the time.
I will say, what will I say? I don't know. 62.
Oh, that's way too high. Actually, Rich Rothmansky, you've made up for your errors tonight. You've nailed this one. 48 is the average high.
48.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, it's cold up there.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah. So, speaking of amazing, I'm sure you have amazing plans for the weekend.
Do I? I don't think there is much on tap for the weekend for me. I will mention not this weekend, but the following weekend. I'm going to be making an appearance at the Westchester Symphonic Orchestra. They asked me back in March, Joe. they're going to have a show. They have
Right.
3 shows each year, and this is a benefit show coming up on Sunday, June the 8th. It's going to start at 4 o'clock, and I'm going to uh, I'm going to be part of this. I don't play an instrument, but what they're going to do is they're going to have the music in the background, and I am going to read Casey at the Bat, and reading this, and having the music choreographed to my reading, and of course we all have heard Casey at the Bat. There's Casey, the big hero, coming to the plate to win the game for the Mudville Nine, and for everybody who's so sure that he's going to get a great hit or a home run or something like that. And of course, at the end, mighty Casey strikes out. So it should be. I'm going to be rehearsing with them on Monday, and again, a week from this Sunday is the. And I don't have any information yet about how, if you are interested, if you can purchase tickets or whatever. I'll have all of that. But I'm happy that they asked me. When you're been out of the business for so long, but I was approached. They said, we'd love to have you. Everybody's asking, if can we get Joe Rayo to do this, and so here I am, and I'll be doing that a week from Sunday. Casey at the Bat, the reading of Casey at the Bat.
Oh, very
With
good. Now, I have nothing. I have absolutely nothing planned for this weekend. Um, I could go to the Chicken Layers convention, but that's usually not my cup of tea anyway, since I don't have any chickens. And not and my neighbor no longer has any chickens, or if he does, he only has a couple left now because there's been a bobcat uh, somewhere in the woods right behind me, and it's terrorized his chickens, and I guess took a couple of them for dinner. So, but no, I have no plans other than I'm finishing up I'm trying to finish up putting mulch into my flower beds, and I need to find a few other plants to fill them out. But 99% of my yard work is done, but I want to just get the last 1% finished so that, it just looks absolutely perfect. Because it's so funny when I go out on my deck in the back and I can see the view of my front yard from my back deck. I can
Well,
see.
yeah,
I,
you and I you've often said that we're like tied by the hip or whatever, attached to each other by the hip. I had about maybe 6 weeks ago. I had a bobcat coming, went down my driveway. I
Mhm.
did like a double take. I said at first I thought might be a fox, and then I looked closer and I said it looks more like some kind of a cat. And then I saw the long tail and noticed that the build was a little bit bigger than your average tabby. And I said, oh my God! I said that's a bobcat, and it's not unusual because I live just to the south of Farnstock State Park, and every kind of animal conceivable is in Farnstock State Park, and sometimes
Right.
wander out of the park and into the neighborhood. And so you had a bobcat, and I have a bobcat.
Yes. Snagglepuss.
Yep.
By the way, we're gonna Joe Rayo's your audio's fine, but your video locked up, so you're just kind of frozen there. But that's okay because we're gonna say goodnight now, and hope everybody has a great weekend. And we'll be back Sunday night at 7:35. So stay safe, have a good time, and we'll see you on Sunday. Bye bye.
Good night, folks.